Hare Krishna, please accept my obeisances. So we are resuming a discussion from the Bhagavad-gita, 10th chapter, verse 36. Dhyutam chalyatam tejas tejasvinamaham jayosmi vyavasayosmi sattvam sattvatamaham. I am also the gambling of cheats, and of the splendid I am the splendor. I am victory, I am adventure, and I am the strength of the strong. So, in this verse, if you'll notice, that Krishna is presenting himself in relationships as opposed to an outstanding member. So, when he says that of men I am the king, then he is the outstanding member. But here he is saying that in relation to those who cheat one another, I am Dyuta. Dyuta is gambling with dice, because the game is both addictive and also insidious. In this kind of gambling, people can lose everything. There is inevitably anger, envy, greed. So it's in a way, in a negative way, it is the worst of the cheating. We see in Mahabharata that when the Pandavas, they in the Dyuta Krida, they were challenged to gambling with dice by the Kauravas, and since the Kshatriyas cannot refuse an offer to gamble, they were duty bound to gamble. But that essentially was the birthplace of Mahabharata. So in that we see Draupadi was insulted, the Pandavas lost their kingdom, they were exiled. So these events, they essentially became the birthplace of the Great War, in which later on millions and millions of people, including the almost entire Kuru Vansha, was destroyed. So Krishna says that of the gambling I am Dyuta. Then in relationship to the conquerors, Krishna says he is victory, because that's what the conquerors aspire for. So in relation to those who are aspiring to achieve something, Krishna is endeavor which yields results. And in relation to the strong, Krishna is physical strength. So Prabhupada says that Krishna's greatness is not one-sided. So one may say that Krishna is all glorious, but one of Krishna's name is Madhudvisha. Madhudvisha is, Dvisha means envy. Madhudvisha is one who is envious of the Madhu demon. Now being envious of demons is a good thing, but nevertheless Krishna does have that envy, which is where the convoluted envy in the material world appears. Similarly, Krishna is an expert cheater. So many times the conditioned soul, they try to cheat Krishna. They say, Krishna, you do this, I'll do this. When Krishna does it, then they don't do it. But Krishna, so they think they have cheated Krishna, but ultimately Krishna always has the last laugh. So he is the greatest of the cheaters. Next verse. Verse 37. Rishinam vasudevasmi Pandavanam dhananjayah Muninam apyaham vyasah Kavinam urshana kavi. Of the descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudev, and of the Pandavas, I am Arjun. Of the sages, I am Vyas, and among great thinkers, I am Ushana. So the first, so this is now Krishna presenting himself in the best of the class. So Vrishni is a clan, and Krishna says, I am the best of the Vrishnis. Prabhupada here refers to Vasudev, Krishna, of course. Other acharyas have also different opinions. Vishwanath Chakravarti says that Vasudeva over here cannot point to Krishna because Krishna is the source. So the comparison essentially would not mean anything, because Krishna is essentially saying that I am me. Because Krishna and Vasudeva are non-different. So when Krishna says of the best of descendants I am Vasudeva, essentially Krishna is saying that I am me, I am Krishna. So he says that when it is says that Vrishinam Vasudeva, Vasudeva had two sons, Krishna and Balram. So Balram is the first expansion of Krishna. So then amongst all the incarnations, Balram is the foremost because he is the fountainhead of all other incarnations. So he translates it as, of the descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudeva Balram. And another Acharya says that Vasudeva here actually points to Vasudeva, where the father of Krishna, because he was also a prominent personality. Then of the Pandavas, I am Arjun, Dhananjaya. So one of Arjun name is Dhananjaya, winner of wealth. And Arjun was the foremost of the Pandavas in terms of him being the greatest warrior, the most expert in the art of throwing bows and arrows with bows. Also, the Acharyas say that Arjun has a special position because he is an expansion of Krishna. So as we know, Krishna and Arjun, they're expansions of Nar-Narayan, or the other way around. Nar-Narayan are expansions of Krishna, Arjun. So Narayan is an expansion of Krishna and Nar is an expansion of Arjun. But Arjun is an expansion of Krishna, whereas the other Pandavas, they don't have that position. Arjun has the unique position of being an expansion of Krishna. Then of the sages, I am Vyas. So Vyas is considered to be the Gyan Shakti of Krishna. He is the literary potency of Krishna. He compiled the Vedas. And then among great thinkers, I am Ushana. So Ushana essentially is Shukracharya. So Shukracharya, just like Brahaspati is the guru for the Devas, Shukracharya is the guru of the Asuras, and he is known as Ushanas or Shukra also. Shukra also means seminal. So it is said that from Shukracharya started this tradition of seminal lineage, that generally, which means from father to son, which is convoluted from a nepotism, that just because the father is qualified does not mean the son will be qualified. But Shukra is, as I said, seminal inheritance. So he is known as Kavi. So Kavi, we generally think of it as poets, but in Sanskrit, Kavi means that one who is an expert, one who is extremely intelligent and far-seeing. So Shukracharya actually is very, very intelligent. So Shukra also means clear, white, pure, or bright. So it reflects to his intelligence, that he has very acute intelligence. He is the son of Bhrigumini and Khyati. Khyati is one of the daughters of Daksha and Prashruti. And Shukracharya initially he studied under Angiras Rishi. So he and Brahaspati, they were both in the same Gurukul and they were studying with Angiras Rishi. But Shukracharya thought that Angiras Rishi is being partial to Brahaspati because Brahaspati is the son of Angiras Rishi. So in anger he left the ashram of his guru and then he studied under Gautam Rishi. And actually between Brahaspati and Shukracharya is considered to be more of an expert in the scriptures than Brahaspati is. He also performed extreme austerities to please Lord Shiva and to get the Sanjeevani Vidya. So by the Sanjeevani Vidya one can revive a dead person. So we see in battles between the Devas and Asuras, after the battle Shukracharya would come and use the Sanjeevani Vidya to revive those who have died. It's also said in one of the Puranas, this is not in one of the Sattvic Puranas, but one of the other Puranas, that the mother of Shukracharya, there the name is different, it's not Khyati, I forget what the name is. She was very powerful because of her pativrat. So when her sons, who were essentially demoniac personalities, they would go and create havoc in the universe, and they would come and take shelter of the mother. And because the mother had the position of mother, and also because of her potency, the devas could not do anything. So finally the devas went and complained to Lord Vishnu, saying that this is becoming very difficult for us. So then Lord Vishnu, and this is a long past time, but it ends up with Lord Vishnu killing the mother of Shukracharya. And because of that, Shukracharya became very averse to Lord Vishnu. And even though he's the great Brahman, an expert in the Vedas, he uses it all to guide people away from devotional service. We see that in the pastime of Lord Bali Maharaj, where Lord Bali Maharaj wanted to surrender to Krishna, Vamandev, and Shukracharya was using the Vedic knowledge to convince him not to surrender to Lord Vishnu. But here Lord Krishna is saying that amongst the Kavis I am Shukracharya. That amongst those who are expert in thinking, amongst those who are intelligent, I am Shukracharya. Next verse. Okay, verse 38. Dando damyatam nitirasmi jigishatam maunam chevasmi guyanam jnanam jnanvatamaham. Among all means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment. And of those who seek victory, I am morality. Of secret things, I am silence. And of the wise, I am wisdom. So it is said that there are 4 ways to suppress an enemy. Then the 4 ways are Sam, Dan, Bhed and Dand. So if you have an enemy that is more powerful than you, then the first way of defeating it is by flattery. Words is the cheapest way. You say something saying, oh, you're good, you're powerful. The person gets appeased and goes away. The second way is Dan, reward, where you give something material. So a more powerful king may attack a less powerful kingdom, and the king might say, okay, I'll give you half my treasury or a bit of the land, and the king goes away. Then the third is Bhed or divisiveness. So this is actually creating confusion in the enemy. So sometimes it is actually physically dividing the enemy, creating internal divisiveness. So it's like when the Britishers were trying to occupy India, their policy was divide and rule. Because India at that time was a powerful country, but they exploited the internal divisiveness. They noticed the kings were fighting with one another, so they would support one king, defeat the other, become a larger kingdom, support one. So in this way, by divisiveness, they defeated a power that was actually stronger than them. And the fourth is Dand or punishment. That if Sam, Dan and Bhed fails, then essentially you go to war, punishment. So Krishna says that I am the ultimate method of suppressing lawlessness. I am punishment. So punishment is his vibhuti. Then in the other, we see that Krishna is using the relationship model. So in relationship to those who desire victory, Krishna is morality. So one may acquire victory through immoral means also, but that victory does not sustain itself. And they say that one who gets something by the sword loses it by the sword. If somebody goes and forcibly occupies a kingdom or steals something, eventually the same thing happens to them. But moral victory is most satisfying. So Krishna says in relationship to those who desire victory, those who are desiring moral victory are the best, and that is my vibhuti. Then of secret things, Krishna says I am silence. Maunam chaivasmi guyanam. Guyanam means of secret things. One way to understand it is that if one wants to keep a secret, the best way is maunam. Maunam is silence. Don't tell it to anybody. Because it's said that the moment you tell it to one person, it's no longer a secret. Because that person will tell it to 2 people, those 2 people will tell it to 4 people, and pretty much everybody knows. So if one has to keep something guyam, secret, the best thing is maunam. is silence. Another more, from a more aspect of making spiritual advancements, it is said that the confidential activities, the guhyam activities, are hearing, thinking, and meditation. So one hears Shravan, one hears from the Guru or the Shastra, then one contemplates on it, which is thinking, Smaranam, and then meditation on it. So meditation is synonymous to silence. So one actually gets the real benefit of hearing and thinking by meditation. So if one simply sits and hears, they may get some benefit, but you're just hearing. But when you hear and you think about it, you contemplate it, one gets more benefit. Oh, Krishna said this, right? And when one meditates on it, which means that it's more prolonged and focused aspect of it. How do I apply this to my life? Where am I missing out? Where can I do better? Where am I making mistakes? That is even better. So that's why Krishna says of all the guhyam activities. So all these three, hearing, thinking, and meditation, are confidential activities because they are helping one reach the final goal of self-realization. But amongst all these three, Krishna says that I am silence, that I am meditation. And in relation to those with knowledge of matter and spirit, Krishna is their knowledge of those matters. Sesa jnanam jnanavatam aham. That of the wise I am the wisdom. Because the quality that sets the wise aside from everybody else is their wisdom. So wisdom is the knowledge of things that matter. That how can I grow better crops, or how can I make spiritual advancement? So real knowledge. The difference between knowledge and wisdom is that knowledge is bookish knowledge, but wisdom is applied knowledge. Right? It said that a person with knowledge may know the facts, but a person with wisdom will know the application of it. Okay, so let's go to the next verse. Okay, verse 39. Yat chapi sarva bhutana bijam tadaham arjuna na tadasti vinayatsyan maya bhutam characharam. Furthermore, O Arjun, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me. And so Krishna here is talking about his role as the cause of all causes. So moving is generally considered to be animals, non-moving to be plants. So Krishna is saying that everything, whether it is an animal or a plant, moving or non-moving. Another way to understand also is non-moving is matter, because matter does not move unless it's energized by some external force. So whether it is matter or spirit, Krishna is the source of it, or whether it is plant or animal, Krishna is the source of it. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Okay, verse 40. Nantosti mama devyanam vibhutinam parantapa esha tu deshatah prokto vibhutir vistaro maya. O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is a mere indication of my infinite opulences. So this essentially concludes Krishna's sharing of his wonderful opulences. So he says that there is no end to my opulences. So he says that uddeshataha, that I have only spoken of a very small portion of Vistara. Vistara means of something that is infinite, very, very wide. I have simply given you a small glimpse of it. So this is also the same point Krishna made before he started speaking about his opulences. In verse 19, when he said that I will only speak about my opulences that are principal, because my opulences are unlimited. So he concludes by saying that I have only spoken about a few of my prominent opulences to pacify your inquisitiveness. And so he addresses Arjuna as Parantapa. So Parantapa means one who is a conqueror of enemies. So Arjuna was famous for his fighting skills, that he could conquer enemies. But despite all that, Arjuna would not have been able to understand the infinite opulences of Krishna. So Krishna's opulences conquers everybody, including somebody like Arjuna, who is a Parantapa. But out of mercy, Krishna has given him enough to satisfy his curiosity and give him a glimpse into what lies beyond. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Okay, verse 41. Yatyad vibhuti mat sattvam Srimad urjitam eva va tattad eva vagachatvam mamatejum shasambhavam. Know that all opulent, beautiful and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. So Krishna is continuing with his point that what he has spoken so far in these 20 verses are just a glimpse of his vibhutis. So here he further generalizes. He says, all that you see, the infinite vibhutis that I have mentioned and I have not mentioned. So whatever exists, so Krishna says satatvam. So satatvam means that whatever exists. Then vibhuti mat, whatever has powers. Srimat, whatever has beauty. Urjitam, whatever has strength. He says then sambhavam. All this is possible by mama tejaha amsha. Right, so mama teja amsha means by a small portion of my powers. So it's not that when you combine all the vibhutis they equal to Krishna's power. No. Krishna's power is so much that when you combine all the vibhutis that exist everywhere, they are just a spark of Krishna's power. So Prabhupada says that any glorious or beautiful existence should be understood to be but a fragmental manifestation of Krishna's opulence, whether it be in the material or spiritual world. Anything extraordinarily opulent should be considered to represent Krishna's opulence. So this is the main reason why Krishna has spoken the vibhutis. He has illustrated by a few, but this is the reason that he has spoken, that now you can expand and extrapolate. That just like Krishna is the wisdom of the wise, just like Krishna is Vyas amongst the sages. So whenever you encounter anything that is extraordinary, whenever you encounter anything that represents power, beauty, strength, then it can draw your mind to Krishna. That's the whole purpose of this chapter, to see with Krishna within this material manifestation. Okay, next verse. Verse 42, this is the last verse of the chapter. Athava bahunaitena kim gyatena tavarjuna vistabhyam idam kritashnam ekam shena sthito jagat. But what need is there, Arjuna, of all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support the entire universe. So in this last verse of the chapter, Krishna is now speaking about the vibhutis collectively. So he had spoken about a few vibhutis individually, and then he said that these are a sample of my vibhutis, but I have millions of more vibhutis. And then now Krishna says that why even worry about all this detailed knowledge? So when Krishna is saying detailed knowledge, Bahunetena, he says, don't worry about the specifics, that of the fishes I am the shark, and of the gamblers, of the cheaters I am gambling. What you should know is that anything that is extraordinary is me. And so here now Krishna is again expanding on the principle that he is trying to make. Right? That when Krishna says that O Arjun, I remain firmly fixed within all the universes headed by Shiva and Brahma, which is composed of matters and jivas. I create by my power of creation and contain it by my power of contain it. I pervade it by my powers of pervasion and maintain it by my powers of maintenance. By just one of my paths. The three Purushas as Antaryamis of Prakriti, Samsati Jiva and Vyasati Jiva. It should be understood that creation, containment, pervasion and maintenance are all my vibhutis. Since I pervade everything, all the wonderful or powerful objects should be understood as my vibhutis. So then, in conclusion, the 10th chapter, Krishna is worshipped as a person whose one portion upholds the universe, and by a fraction of whose power everything else is energized. Everything in the universe is only Krishna, and he is the only one worthy of our worship and service. By that intelligence, one is now qualified to taste the sweetness of Krishna. This is the summation of the purport of the chapter. So we'll end over here, chapter 10, and we will next begin with our discussion on the 11th chapter. So one interesting point to note over here, Krishna says that over here, that with a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support the entire universe. So this also provides the inquisitiveness in Arjuna to ask Krishna, how do you pervade and support the entire universe? And that leads to Krishna then showing his universal form, by which he is pervading and supporting the entire universe. In this way, Krishna is setting the seed for the next chapter to be spoken. Okay, so we'll end over here, chapter 10 of the Opulences of the Absolute. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.